We are. Oh, you do have your packet. Whoops.
We now have a quorum, so we'll call to order the Board of Adjustment meeting for August 4th, 2011. The first agenda items are the approval of minutes of July 7th, 2011, which we will defer until we have a complete board with us again. And same for June 16th, 2011, we will defer the approval of those minutes until we have a complete board. Staff continuances or
none today.
Any requests or withdrawals from the public? Hearing none, I would call for the first case.
Item number 1, case number 13436, application for special exception of Sharon Romaine Murphy to allow the continued use of a mobile home to serve as a temporary second dwelling to relieve a medical hardship located at 6201 Murphy Lane.
Please come forward and give us your name and address at the podium, please.
Good afternoon, Council. Yes, I'm Sharon Romaine Murphy, and I live at 6301 North Murphy Lane in Oklahoma City. And what I am wanting to do is to replace the original trailer that's on the property that's a single wide that my nephew now lives in, because he is the one that takes care of the upkeep of the property for me and any repairs that I need. And my husband since passed, so he used to go out and get people to do repairs and so forth, and I can't do that. And my nephew just basically needs another place, a better place to live. The trailer is 40 years old, and we've replaced the roof on it 3 times, and it's kind of held together by putty, to be honest. So all I'm wanting to do is just to take the old one out and put a new one there.
Any discussion?
Do we have a letter from letters on this? Okay. Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote.
Thank you, Council.
You are approved.
Item number 2, case number 13439, application for special exception of Alicio and Barbie Mendoza to allow a mobile home to serve as a temporary second dwelling to relieve a medical hardship located at 8304 South Anderson Road.
Please give us your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbie Mendoza, and we live at 8304 South Anderson Road, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73150. And we're just basically requesting permission for my mother-in-law to live there in the pre-existing mobile home. It was never moved when we purchased the place, and we just want to know if it's, get permission for her to stay there. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm there, all the time. I can keep an eye on her. She has no joint ligament. Anyway, she's not able to walk very far. I'm going to be able to, she's like in walking distance, like 40 yards, I believe, is our front doors, to one another, so I can keep a real close eye on her if she falls or something like that. So anyways, you guys have, I think, the
Move to approve.
paperwork from the doctor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote. You are approved.
Thank you.
Item number 3, case number 13435, request of Mind Essence Zen Center for a variance to the required number of parking spaces located at 5400 Garrett Road.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Dan Bauman. I live at 8536 Northwest 118th. I'm applying on behalf of my customer, the Mind Essence Zen Center, who's at 5400 Garrett Road. We're requesting to have a reduction in the number of required parking spaces, and mainly the one thing that drives this is the manner in which this building is being used. It's built as an accessory structure to what's already on site, used specifically for meditation. I've given you some information about the spacing of the people that will be doing the meditation and how much room they need, and on the floor plan I've got that laid out, and the maximum that they could fit in there would be, I believe, 68 people. So what we're wanting to do, instead of having to put in 68 parking spaces that the city development center, the building permit office wants us to put in, we want to use that 68 for the occupancy of the building as far as calculating the parking, because it's just not feasible to fit more people in there, and we don't want to have to spend $100,000 in parking that will never be used.
Do I understand that this is just an expansion of an existing facility that already performs this?
Yes, correct. They have an existing meditation hall in their current building. This is an expansion of that hall to a freestanding building.
Is there any protests? Based on this specific use, I think it meets the statutory standards, and I move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote. You are approved.
Thank you.
Item number 4, case number 13437, request of Byron Morris for a variance to the maximum number of accessory signs allowed per street frontage and the maximum square footage located at 600 Southeast Grand Boulevard.
Name and address, please.
I'm Fred Schmidt. I'm with Frankfurt Short Bridge Architects. Our business is located at 5801 Broadway Extension, but I'm here on behalf of Cesar Chavez Elementary School, which is located at 600 Southeast Grand Boulevard here in Oklahoma City. We are requesting a variance to the signage ordinance. We have a surface sign on the building and also requesting a ground sign. The surface sign is 42 square feet by the calculation methodology outlined in the ordinance, and the ground sign is a double-sided sign with the same size lettering, so that's also 42 square feet per sign. There is a portion of the ground sign that is a marquee type of element that adds another 24 square feet per sign. So it's the request for a second sign, which is the ground sign, which will exceed 100 square feet. We looked at what the total of that ground sign would be, which would be 132 square feet, including these small marquee areas that are basically about 4 feet by 6 feet. This is very similar to other signs that are installed at similar schools around town that were constructed through the Maps for Kids process. Two of those examples are the Douglas High School and Martin Luther King High School. Both have surface signs and ground signs. I know Martin Luther King has a similar situation, being located in it's an allowed use within a residential area, which is where the type of situation we're at. So that's the background, and that's what we're requesting.
Questions? Discussion?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. You are approved.
Thank you.
Item number 5, case number 13438, request of Sam Gresham for a variance to permit a garage in the 25-foot platted rear building setback located at 14800 Dahlia Drive.
My name is Sam Gresham. I'm here to represent the owner. My address is 400 Northwest 23rd Street. The variance request is that we have an encroachment proposed that was approved by the Galardia Development Corporation that, I guess, regulates the development of that property. Our setback by plat is 25 feet. We're asking for an 8-foot encroachment into that platted rear yard setback. Do you want to know more? We have a lake behind us, and presumably the 25-foot setback is some buffer that was provided to around the golf course. We happen to have the lake on that golf course behind this property. So that 25-foot setback is pretty meaningless in this case. And they agree. So, Galardia.
Well, Galardia's, I don't have a problem. Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote. You are approved.
All right, thank you. That was easy. Thanks.
Item number 6, case number 13440, request of MJR KR LLC for a variance to the side and rear yard setback number of parking spaces, separation of right-of-way, landscaping, site triangle, and to allow parking and maneuvering in the right-of-way located at 5500 North Portland Avenue.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Before we start, would you state your name and address for the
Yeah,
record?
Tim Johnson with Johnson Associates, 1 East Sheridan, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. As you know, this is, by reading the staff report, it's a multifaceted application. This is a leftover piece of property along Portland Avenue that has not been developed. It was zoned O2 many, many years ago. It was skipped over mostly because of its size, but it is a good location for a medical use across the street from the hospital. And the proposed building is 4,800 square feet. The required parking for that is 24 spaces. Part of our application would be to vary that to only allow 19, which we can fit in the front of this, short of the minor encroachment into the right-of-way. We would also like the ability to build the additional spaces on the south side and use the access from 54th Street as access to those spaces. The request for the rear yard setback reduction is to allow for the building to be set back as far as possible so that the encroachment into the right-of-way is minimized. If we use the code requirement for that setback, it would push these spaces another 10 feet into the right-of-way. So that's why we've asked for that variance as well as the number of parking space variance. And then we've applied for a revocable permit. It's just a complicated little piece of property. In talking to the traffic staff with regard to parking off of 54th Street, 54th Street is basically a driveway into the Chandelier apartments. There is a drive off of to the south that feeds that office to the south, but that office also has a drive on Portland, which is its primary entrance. So there's not a lot of traffic that uses this. The apartment project has multiple entrances and exits. So we don't see this as being a traffic hazard. The spaces will be clear of the through traffic. The street's an extra wide street. It's 32 foot instead of 26 foot. So a part of what we're asking for is the ability to maneuver in the right-of-way and have those parking spaces.
I have a question for you. The Traffic Commission, I think, heard your application this morning, did it not?
Not that I'm aware of.
My staff report said a concurrent application to the Traffic Commission for consideration of these spaces has been submitted and will be heard prior to the Board of Adjustment
Yeah, it was
consideration.
intended to be heard in the July hearing, but the staff failed to get it on the docket. So we're automatically set for the next meeting,
So we do not have a recommendation.
not from the Traffic Commission. In fact, the traffic staff said, we'd rather have you go to the board first anyway. But
Well, we
unfortunately
can
for
make it a
us,
conditional approval, I guess, couldn't we? Couldn't we? Yeah, okay.
the other thing I wanted to indicate is this is the office building to the south that I mentioned. You can see that all their parking is encroaching into that right-of-way as well. We would line up with that. We'd actually be slightly further to the east with the variances we requested. The other anomaly on this property is that based on our survey of the tract of land, there's a 5-foot gap between the property for the apartments and what we've determined to be the platted property for this lot. So even though we're asking for a 5-foot setback, we'll actually be 10 feet from where their fence is on the parking lot. So, and as the staff report indicates, we butt the parking width, and we're not close to any of the apartment buildings as a result of that.
One question I had when I went by the property is the driveway is essentially a car's length off Portland. And so if you've got one car stopped at that stop sign to turn left or turn right onto Portland, you have access to your driveway. But if there's a second car there, your driveway is blocked. And I know that it's not the only entrance into the apartment complex, but when I was by there this morning, there was traffic on 54th Street and traffic in and out of the pharmacy on 54th Street. And, that would concern me. if I was you, because what you're likely to do is have the people that are trying to leave your building, if there's more than one car at that stop sign, and even if there is just one, it may be difficult to get in and out of that property. And the other thing is the impact on that pharmacy. I know they've got another driveway, but I'm assuming that there's nobody here representing the pharmacy today. But and then if you allow those parking spaces in 54th, I mean, you've got a really congested.
Well, we have not taken counts on there. We've done visual counts during the peak hour, which is probably what you witnessed, was the morning peak.
Now, it was about 11:30 this morning, but I'm saying if there's more than one car at that stop sign waiting to turn left or turn right onto Portland, your people can't leave your property.
There's actually room for 2 cars to the middle of this driveway, but you're right. I mean, no more than 2 cars. But it meets
that's the only way, and that's the only way out. And I mean, it's not like you can go turn left on 54th, and because you've got the apartment complex right there. So.
And by code, we'd be permitted to put a drive on Portland, but it's because of the congestion in Portland, we think this is a better application to put the drive off of a lesser or minor street rather than the major collector. Because of the intensity of use in the building and the lack of the demand of parking spaces, from a traffic standpoint, we didn't see that to be an issue. I respect I respect your opinion, obviously.
And I'm thinking about you and your potential, the people that are trying to get in and out of that building. And there's more traffic building there on Portland. You've got the sight lines, as you're facing south toward 50th Street are not particularly good. The terrain is a little bit rolling there. And and I think Deaconess is likely to attract more traffic, and that area is going to become more congested.
We have lined that up with the opposing drive, and we are set back pursuant to the code requirements. So,
Well, driveway off of Portland would just exacerbate the problem, parking problem anyway. So, I mean, you wouldn't be able to put as many parks in here anyway.
That's correct. We'd lose 3.
I mean, it makes sense where it is, but...
I would have trouble, though, with the parking spaces on 54th. I just, I mean, I could see, people trying to get in and out of there, and the second car blocks the driveway, and then you've got parking spaces and people trying to maneuver in and out of those on top of that. The staff report indicates that your proposal may represent, trying to overbuild that site.
From a coverage standpoint, it doesn't. It's just the parking requirements for medical use. We're within the percent coverage requirements of the zoning that's permitted there. We'll provide the adequate landscaping per code. There's room to do that. I think the variance to the number of spaces required for the building would allow, obviously, more landscaping along this side, and it would just be the ability to have a building with providing 19 spaces instead of 24. I guess that's one option.
With regards to the operational issue there, could we require them to have employee parking in that off-street parking? Because that's typically parking that doesn't come and go. Is that something you can do as a part of the order?
I think you could make that a condition. It would be very difficult to enforce or keep an eye on.
Well, no, I understand that, but at least you'd be focusing on how to properly use the site.
Yeah. You could condition your board order on that.
Huh?
You could put that in as a condition.
We would agree to, we could paint those curbs for employees only. This curb could be painted with the stencil of employees only.
We'll put up signs or something like that or whatever. I mean, because that's the obvious use for those spots anyway, is employee parking.
Right.
Because you want to leave the parking, because the front door is in front of all the rest of the parking.
That's correct. And that would be an acceptable solution that the owner would go for. Again, to the overcoverage on the, if you kind of look at, the reason why I plotted this is kind of a good comparison, apples to apples, with the number of square footage of building on this lot, even though it's wider, They don't have any side parking, and if you were to reduce it to our size of lot, it would be exactly the same type of coverage. It's just we won't have a drive on Portland like they do. So it's almost a mirror of what's existing there now. And I live about a half a mile from there, so I'm not aware of any problems there traffic-wise. I've never seen an accident there, and I do travel this a lot, but there wasn't anything of record with the city traffic staff. I think I covered all the items.
It's a lot of variances, isn't it? But it does suggest that you're overbuilding on the side.
Well, it creates I think some of the issues with regard to this parking, like being out so far, this was originally the old 33-foot right-of-way, and then there was an additional 17-foot easement granted. We couldn't find any records of when this was built relative to that easement. That easement's very old, and I know this pharmacy's been there for 25 years or better, so I don't know if it was just at the time the city didn't look at those easements as right-of-way. We just don't know the facts on that, but it's not an uncommon occurrence along this stretch of Portland. And, if we cut the building back by 800 square feet, we'd lose 4 spaces. We'd still be underparked at 4,000 square feet.
How many, I can't tell by this, how many parking spaces are in the site triangle?
One, a portion of one.
Portion of one.
Portion of one? There is not doesn't show how much of that parking space. I mean, I'd rather give up parking space in the site triangle. I mean, I think that's the bigger issue.
Yeah.
It's having cars sit that close to the corner.
It just clips about maybe a 4-foot clip of that parking space.
Would that qualify for a compact space? Could you?
It could.
Could you change that to a compact space?
Could do an offset in that parking, move it back a couple of feet.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion. Are there any more questions? I'll make a motion to approve the application conditioned on the reduction in the parking space that's in the site triangle to be outside of the site triangle,
Okay.
either by compact space or removal. And then the identification of the parking spaces on 54th Street is employee parking only, or some other designation.
And conditioned on traffic approval.
And conditioned on traffic commission approval.
That's acceptable. Thank you.
We have a motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You are approved.
Item number 7, case number 13441, request of Paycom for a variance to permit a freestanding accessory sign located within the street right-of-way, located at 7501 West Memorial Road.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Elliott with Metro Sign Company at 401 North Ann Arbor, representing Paycom. And we are requesting a variance because we believe we have a unique situation where the property line is set back quite far on the property, and if we put the sign as far back as the property line, it won't be visible for westbound traffic. This is actually a photo that I took of the property from the west looking east. It's even more difficult to see as you're looking west because of the trees and so forth. Another unique situation is the slope of the land into a detention pond. As we go further back, the property is lower. And as you can see with the location of the sign, as shown on the picture, that if we are behind the property line, it'll be so low you won't be able to see it once again. and there's only one entrance driveway into Paycom. There's an exit driveway further west, but if you miss that entrance, clients and staff and so forth, clients who maybe haven't seen it before, will have to go all the way around the service road to Council, go over the bridge, come back around, go back to Rockwell, and make a big loop to get back to the property. And so we're requesting a variance based on those conditions.
You couldn't alter the entrance, flip those?
I'm sorry, say again?
You couldn't flip the entrances to take care of the circulation?
No, it's already done, and there's a guard booth and so forth on the entrance on that east side of the property. And the sign is only 6 foot 8 inches tall. It's not very large, but it is mainly just enough to attract enough attention that people can turn there with an appropriate time.
Well, it is a one-way street, so it's on the back side of the driveway. So it doesn't affect anybody going out anyway.
Correct.
How far can you move it back? I mean, I don't know if you noticed on the staff's report that there's a suggestion minimum amount to relieve the problem.
The property line is, again, if we move it back, it becomes lower and also further back, hidden behind those trees. If we're behind the property line, it's almost entirely not visible.
You're not going to cut the trees down? That's a joke. Sorry.
Keep Oklahoma green.
I'm sorry, how far is it off the curb? How far is the front of the sign from the curb?
I'm looking, we have got, let's see, I believe we're about 10 feet from the curb. And we are out of the sight triangle from the curb, though.
Excuse me?
We're out of that site, the 25-foot sight triangle. We are positioned behind that.
If somebody votes or makes a motion for approval here, it includes a certain distance from the curb, be prepared to accept whatever distance that is?
It depends on what it is, but here's a better drawing.
Okay.
To scale, but again, it's out of the sight triangle.
I know, but it doesn't have any dimension on it.
The whole drawing is to scale, but like I say, we're about 10 feet.
I don't have a scale.
What's that? Okay.
I don't have a scale. If a motion included that it would be a minimum of 10 feet from the curb, that'd be all right with you?
Yes, that's pretty much where we are, yes.
Or some other opinion on the distance?
I do not have an opinion on that.
Move for approval, 10-foot setback from the curb.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please register your vote. You are approved.
Thank you.
But
Item number 8, case number 13442, request of Bricktown Parking for a variance to permit a freestanding sign in the BC Bricktown Core District located at 205 East Main Street.
Hello once again. Brian Elliott with Metro Signs, 401 North Ann Arbor, representing Bricktown Parking. And our request for a variance today is based on the parking lot is in an area that does not have, it's not within the main traffic flow of Bricktown. It's not easily recognizable as a parking lot. You don't easily see it. And we're trying to attract attention
to make Bricktown visitors aware that there is a large parking lot there. The sign structure is presented, we feel would attract the necessary attention to direct people to the parking lot. And the sign, as it's designed, only faces into Bricktown. It's single-sided. It doesn't face the apartment complex that's pictured behind it. And the picture that you're seeing is the entranceway into the parking lot on the top of that picture. The bottom picture is on the other side of the bridge, west of the property. And as you can see, there's no, either west or east, there's no direct line of sight for the development. The sign was originally approved as a much larger sign, about 60 foot wide, and we're going to, that is expired as the staff report says, but we're going to go back for approval based on based on your thoughts and approval today, to go back with just a little bit smaller sign as it's pictured there. And we feel like Bricktown needs more parking, so this would be a win-win scenario for our development as well as for Bricktown.
When was the first sign approved? I don't recall that.
I believe it was in 2008.
Okay. I think it needs a sign. I'd move to approve.
Yeah, and you can't move it back because you got gas lines in there anyways. Yeah. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please register your vote. You are approved.
Thank you very much.
Item number 9, case number 13443, request of Oklahoma City Public Schools for a variance to allow parking and maneuvering in the public right-of-way located at 6900 South Byers Avenue.
Hello, I'm Randy Brooks. I live at 29 Corona Drive. I'm representing the Oklahoma City Public Schools. We are providing a new addition to Hayes Elementary, and it's also going to provide a new main entrance. And we want to provide this queuing lane. This will make it safer for the students to get in and out of the property. It will also give the staff better control watching the students. It will serve the new entrance also of the building and improve the traffic flow on Southeast 69th Street.
Has school already started?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
This project is out for bids right now. This project is out for bids right now.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please register your votes. You are approved.
Item number 10, case number 13444, request of Salvador and Camelia Carnero for a variance to permit a porch and carport encroaching into the front yard setback located at 2417 South Pennsylvania Avenue.
Please give us your name and address for the record.
Salvador Carnero.
Would you like to speak to your application and tell us about your home?
Yeah, well, I make it a porch because it's my grandma. So I need to put a ramp in it, and the porch behind the porch, but I don't want it wet because it can fall out quick. So it's a way tension to put on the big porch in the front because he's going all the times to my house.
So you're building a larger porch in the front with a wheelchair access?
Yeah, in front of my door. I'm building the porch, and my car garage, my car garage is built in 1999. And I make extension for the hole you can go to my house, so I make a ramp in it.
Okay.
Is it just going to be all the way across the front of the house, or how, I mean, you didn't provide any kind of drawings or suggestions of...
Only thing I put on one more post. The porch garage got 2 posts. And then extension, another post, put on a porch.
So the roof line on the porch is a gable?
Yes.
Like this? Does the porch extend all the way across the front of the house?
No. Well, it's one before. It's got a car porch for 2 cars, and only thing I put an extension to another side and put in the porch. He got a little porch because he can walk to my house and they stand all the times with me.
As you stand and face the house, about how wide is the porch as you
It's,
stand and face the house?
19 foot for 19 for 20. 19 for 20. I'm looking same side to the porch, the car porch. They put on same side. Only thing I put on 1 post, 2 posts, and protection over to the house. So they can, the push frame and everything. So he's walking. This is my neighbor living by my side. And this is my grandpa from my sons. So
But does the carport you have now, you're going to not build out past that line?
Right.
Okay,
He's trying
okay.
to make it even with the carport.
you make it even to the car.
Okay.
Staying even with the carport.
And also my wife, we got a surgery in the neck, and the doctor is saying maybe he can walk in no more. So I need to make it run.
Instead of having the steps, he's going to have a ramp. So we're even out with the carport.
I didn't get a chance to go see this. It's up, right? This is up, right? It's constructed? It's finished?
Ese ya está puesto.
It's finished.
He already have it up.
No application for a permit or anything?
No, he didn't even know he had to get the permission for it. And so when he put it up, they brought it to his attention.
Yeah.
Then when they brought it to his attention, he was like, wow, I didn't want no permission for this, That was new to him. I mean, it's new to me too.
Yeah.
Well, is the ramp really part of the porch? I mean, would that be considered a porch?
It would have to meet the same setback porch. This,
It's almost same side. The porch is got a,
the ramp would be between the carport and the porch.
yes,
Oh,
So it's not, it won't be any further out than the carport is now.
when it's raining, when it's raining, I don't want to get up and put some wet in the ramp, it's going to fall up again. So my wife will fall up in the restaurant, and he's broken 6 sticks in the neck. It's in surgery now in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Does this, I haven't been there now, does this stick out quite a ways farther than anything that your neighbors have?
No, anything. Well, there's still the house,
It's still in the same situation where the house was to begin with. The only thing is, instead of having the steps, we having a ramp. And it's gonna even out with our car park where we have the cars at. That's it, but it don't affect the front, it don't affect the side of the house.
it don't affect nobody, I'm pretty sure in that. Because, the porch, he make it like maybe 6-8 foot and the side of the house to in, still in the in. You know the pictures? I got the pictures and
You
everything.
got pictures?
I got it, I give it to him, but he's saying coming today, so I'll give you all the
We
pictures.
take the pictures to y'all, and y'all say come today. Yeah.
We keeping everything.
All we have is the site plan.
You do? Okay. As it is, huh?
I make the pictures, my neighbors, it's,
You didn't submit pictures of what it looks like,
yeah, Brenda.
not to our office.
I give it to the ninth floor. The man, he got the glasses in it. He give it all the pictures and everything because the neighbors, my limit to the frame is go in to my neighbor's frame, to the fence. The fence for the other houses is coming way 4 or 5 foot behind, and the side, another side. So another side, they got a parking, I don't have no problem.
See, you put on here, it's 49 feet from the center of the street?
Almost 50,
Yeah,
close to 50 foot.
yeah.
It's in the middle of the road.
This is where he's built all the way out here.
What?
This is, I think, where he's built.
Yeah.
It's all the way
Yeah.
out here.
Mhm. See that? If anybody has any concerns, we could continue it, and I could run down there and take a look at it and take a few pictures.
I got the other picture what it look like and everything, but I live in the ninth floor in the city, you know,
Yeah.
the one that pay the water bill.
Mm-hmm.
I give it to the girl, everything,
Yeah.
pictures, the map and everything.
Yeah, I don't think we have it right now, though, so.
We're not going to hold up construction. When you come back with some photos.
It sounds like the other board members would like the opportunity to go down and look at your house and to perhaps, document more carefully,
Yeah, but still, still not finished, so I'll stop it, I'll not do anything. I really,
When he found out about the permit, he stopped what he was doing. He said, oh, yeah, he moved this, so he stopped, so it's not.
he's ready out, it's only taking it to put the brick post, cover the brick post, the cover top.
So if the board members would like to be able to come down before the next meeting and take a look at your house, that would continue this potentially to September the 1st.
September 1st.
Would that be acceptable to you?
But you won't have to tear it down. Not right now.
I don't need to do anything. The pictures I got is perfect, and I can
Okay.
see everything.
I'm going to come down and take a look at it, okay?
Okay, that'll be great.
So we're going to move to continue this till the next meeting, which is
September the 1st.
September the 1st.
So still, just stop and everything, not do anything.
Don't do anything.
I really do the most.
Okay. So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your vote. You are continued then.
Thank you.
To September the 1st, so we will see you back here on September the 1st.
What time?
The meeting starts at 1:30.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Item number 11, case number 13244, request of Lana Comia, attorney for Burton Mary Bowman, for extension of the time period approved for completion pursuant to an order of the board.
I'm Lana Colmia.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment? Before we start, too, for the board members that may not have been present at the last meeting, this matter deals with the addition to the back of the house only.
Correct.
There are other issues regarding this home, but what we are going to discuss today only relates to the back of that. And you were absent at the last meeting, and your
Yes, I was.
representative requested a continuance, and we granted a continuance with condition. Could you remind us what those conditions are for the continuance?
Actually, sir, I don't know that I can. I believe that they requested that Catherine come out and do continuing follow-up with regards to the addition, that it be completed as was requested, if could be done by now. I don't know of any other conditions.
Those were the conditions. Our conditions were that a representative from the city, and Catherine was tasked with that.
Well, she did
was
come
to go
out.
out and immediately following the July 7th meeting and to document the condition of the house
That's
at that
correct.
point, and then to revisit the site at least, one more time previous to this meeting, and to report to us today.
And she, as far as I know, has done that. I have seen her out there. Well, I was there one day when we met her there, and it was my understanding she was coming the following week and then the week thereafter.
Before we hear her testimony, can you tell me what's changed between July 7th and today?
With regards to the east side of the home,
No, the completion of the back addition.
that is, on the east side of the back addition, it has The windows are in, there's molding on the one smaller window that still needs to be done, and the molding that's on the edge of the southeast corner, that molding has not yet been placed. We are in substantial compliance with everything else.
I think there was a reference to, there was work to do on the back porch and the back door.
Well, yes, that's what was in the letter. The back porch and the back door, right now there's only a temporary door there because, as this board may remember, this house is being refurbished in its entirety, both interior and exterior. The reason for the temporary door on the back is so that the workspace for the wood sander, the saws, the need to bring in 10-foot boards and things of that nature into the inside, it gives them still the ability to do that. Because the back door and back porch are in the back of the house and not visible from the street, we have kept that workspace there. It is covered by a tarp tent sort of thing. I believe that Catherine has pictures that she's presented to the board about that.
I'll tell you what, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and excuse you and call Catherine forward to
That'd be fine.
present.
Thanks. Great, thank you.
As you look through the report, I'll just state for the record, Catherine Montgomery, Historic Preservation Architect with the City of Oklahoma City, and I have prepared a 2-page list type report, including a list of things that remain unfinished as related to the construction of the back addition, and a list of things completed as related to the construction of the back addition that are inconsistent with the drawings approved by the Board of Adjustment. Also attached are the site plan and the elevations that are pertinent to the back addition as presented to the Board of Adjustment last summer. And then photographs, the first photographs that have the HPCA-10-00009, those are the photographs that were provided to the Board of Adjustment last summer, and those are the same photographs that were used when the addition was going through the process with the Historic Preservation Commission, demonstrating the appearance of the property at that time. Then you'll see photographs dated July 2011. Those photographs were actually taken July 7th. I made 3 visits after July 7th and have provided for you the latest photographs, some of the latest photographs which were taken today, August 4th.
Catherine, part of our intention in the July 7th order was to create,
A situation where the applicant could continue.
Yeah, and with the applicant, I mean, we implored him to not waste this time between the July 7th meeting and today. And, the continuance was not intended to just allow another 30 days for nothing to happen, nothing substantial to happen. It was intended to be a period of time to be used constructively, to make progress, and to finish the job. And so part of, what I'm interested in hearing from you is what you saw and what you observed in terms of progress, from July 7th to today.
I think the most significant things that have happened in the past 30 days, on the west elevation, there's kind of this bay window that pokes out. It's not directly related to the addition, but it's just to the north of it, and it was missing some cedar siding, shingle siding.
But is it part of what, within the scope of what we can consider?
I think that it is, in that the underlayment was exposed. That's been shingled. And then on the east elevation, there are a couple of windows that were blocked, just blocked openings, and they now have glass in them. My
And
primary...
again, that was part of the rear addition, so it is relevant to our
Correct.
discussion today.
And there may have been some other miscellaneous shingle work going on.
On page 13, these photographs that show, you know, the temporary structure to house material and tools, perhaps. In your opinion, do you deem, you know, is all that necessary? Is there any reason they can't go ahead and complete the rear addition?
As the drawings are presented, it shows what I would presume to be about a 3-foot back door opening on the drawings. The opening that is currently cut out in the back looks like it could accommodate 2 doors of about that size. So from the perspective that if they were to complete the drawings the way that they are now, it may make things a little more inconvenient, but I think that it could be completed. If they wished to change that to a double door opening, that would make it even easier, but that's not what the drawings show today. I think the other aspect of it is that since the floor is elevated by about 3 or 4 feet, the completed back addition includes a set of stairs that accommodate that elevational difference. And so part of what might be more convenient is to have the elevated workspace as you see in the photograph, so that they don't have to go up and down the stairs.
I would just remind ourselves that in June of 2010, we actually approved this and gave them 6 months to complete, and I believe you agreed to 6 months to complete. There was a clerical error at the city, and another 6 months plus was allowed. The year expired June the 17th of this year, and then your representative was here for the July meeting and was given, in essence, another 30 days. And Catherine, in your opinion, is there any reason or any excuse for this project to not be completed? It feels to me like that we have been very generous in terms of allocating the time. And Lana, you agreed to 6 months in June of 2010.
I did, but at the time, should I wait and speak for other?
Thank you, Catherine.
I did agree to the 6 months, and at the time I made that agreement, I was not aware of the problem that was going to be associated with the roof itself, the construction of that roof. In January, we were still at that time unable to get a roofing company to come and finish up the roof, in fact, do it at all. The roof was not completed and the shingles were not placed until April. On January the 5th, pursuant to this board's statements, I appeared at the Historical Preservation Committee and informed them that we were having difficulty with that because it's my understanding it's because all the roofers were working on the hail damage throughout the course of the city and problems like that. The shingles on the roof was completed, the shingles were placed, and I believe that happened approximately the first part of April. In February, after the January meeting, I contacted and met with Rita Talley, the counselor, and talked with her and said that we had not completed the roof at that time. We discussed some legal ramifications with regards to the timing. Thereafter, Rita had arranged a meeting with the city representatives. There were several there on the 18th of May, and at that point in time I said that we had now completed the roof, completed the shingles, and We're in the process of beginning the windows, being able to put the windows in, the shingles, and that nature. From that point, they asked me to write a letter to Mr. Chambliss, which I did, that went out on June the 3rd, I believe, and telling him the reason that the back door had not been completed was because of the need for the 10-foot boards. We were, again, refurbishing the entire house inside and out. At that point in time, unfortunately, I left on vacation around the 21st of January, of June, when the notice for this meeting in July came in, and I did not get actual notice until the 5th of July when I got back after the 4th of July weekend, at which time I saw that I had a conflict, and I contacted Kathy and said that, and asked for a continuance. The continuance was at the time, not because I wanted more time to get before this court, but because I simply could not be here at that particular point.
Does the progress that Kathy highlighted in the last 30 days, is that acceptable progress in your estimation?
Well, I believe it is. I believe that we are in substantial compliance. The only thing remaining on the exterior is what I stated in the letter, what I've stated all along, which is the back door and the porch area, because of the workstation necessary to complete the interior reconstruction of
But I'm
the
not
home.
sure that it's fair, to use the back porch or where the back porch is supposed to be as a staging area for the complete interior renovation and use that as an excuse not to complete the rear addition to the house. You may have to create another work area. And go ahead and finish the rear addition to the house.
All right. I will do what this, I will at least request that the company or the gentleman that's doing the work perform that as soon as possible.
Are you directing the construction folks, or is the homeowner?
Well, the homeowner through me.
But you're the one that interacts directly with the contractor? And
That's correct.
schedules
We
work.
have one man that is he's a craftsman. He is the one that has done the interior of the home itself. He works every day on this home. In fact, since this board gave us the approval, the only time that man has not been working on this home is either for legal holidays, regular holidays, and the small amounts of vacation or family crisis that he's had outside of the state of Oklahoma. He is there on a daily basis.
Okay. Could I ask you what your request is today of us?
My request is that you give me, based upon the letter that I wrote to Mr. Chambliss, the additional year in which to complete the back side of the door. Now, I'm not saying the exterior as far as the windows are concerned, but I am talking about the back door and the porch. Yes, sir.
I think it's pretty clear that that's probably not going to fly. Our objective, I think everybody's objective, is to see this through and to see it completed in a timely way. And I just, I'm not sure how seriously you and your clients, are taking the board order. You were given 6 months that you agreed to in June, and I think, you've been treated generously.
I agree.
And I think, to come in here and ask for another year and to, for the neighborhood and the neighbors to have to tolerate this and to use a work area, for interior renovation as an excuse for this is not acceptable to me. I would like to excuse you for a moment. The Dells and Karen Zimmer have requested to be heard today.
Thank you.
Karen Zimmer, 226 Northwest 22nd Street. I want to make it clear that while I am a member of the HP Commission, I am not here to represent the HP Commission. I have recused myself throughout this entire application. I am here because I'm the board chair of Mesta Park and Friends of the Dells, and Mesta Park thinks you guys have been more than generous with the Bowmans and trying to give them every opportunity to finish this. I can't really say finish it in a timely manner because I think we're kind of past that point. I just wanted to say that the neighborhood would just love to have this finished and looking like it should look. Any questions?
No, I
Thank you.
understand. Thank you.
My name is Brian Dell. I live at 528 Northwest 17th Street, and while I hear what the board is saying, I think that you're probably at least seeing things pretty much the way I am. But in all candor, this has been going on for some 8 years. My wife and I, we're pretty close to our sell-by dates, and if we have to continue on with this thing for another year, for example, it would be beyond our imagination. I furnished pictures to the board as well as to the Planning Commission of what we saw going on in the last month. According to the staff report, the purpose here today was to talk about the back door. The only thing that we saw worked on in the last 28 days, 4 weeks ago today, whenever we were last here and you sent someone out to look at it, was shingles were put up on the little side window. And the fellow that's pictured in that photo that I sent you is the fellow that does all the inside work. First time that I've seen him outdoors, and it was almost felt like we were punishing him by having to be out in a 100-degree temperature. Took him 4 days to do it, but he got the shingles up around that window on the side that you can see from our kitchen window. One would believe that if the problem was to get the back door in here, that the last 28 days would have been more than adequate time to install any back door as well as to finish all of the other problems that I have shown. Ms. Montgomery has in her report here today shown various other things that go far beyond the back door of the problems with that house, and that I would tell the board that I don't think that anything was done from the time last June 2010 of any significance until I started sending emails to various members of the planning department and council members and the mayor. And at some time after that time, beginning in early April, things did start to happen. They finally did something with the roof. And if you have a BlackBerry or an iPhone and you go to Google Maps and look at 524 Northwest 17th Street, you'll see that tin roof that was on there for like a couple of years. I don't think that any storm that we had in Oklahoma City area had anything to delay any fixing of any roof on that piece of property. Whatever concern there has been with doing whatever the inside looks like, and I don't know why that anybody would want to have the inside look like Taj Mahal and the outside look like a mud hut during the Depression. But the thing that we have pointed out in our letters to you is that the house behind us sold for $390,000. Our house is valued at $260,000 and is bigger, has more space, a garage with an apartment. So whatever the impact appears to be is that we have suffered $130,000 depression on our property because of what is next door to us. And I don't know what the solution is. My thoughts are to tear it down, but I know that that's probably not going to happen. And I've had the conversation with the city, too, that what I want to see and hope that if there's the order that this be done within a short period of time, and certainly not a year, and that whatever the enforcement of citations, to do it as often as possible, like every day, which is provided for in the ordinance. That would give us some relief, and appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lana? I want to tell you that you know, a consideration of a year is out of the question as far as I'm concerned. You know, I might consider a 30-day extension with conditions, and one of the conditions would be is that this area of storage and this whole area would be cleaned up in 30 days. The other thing I would like to see is I know you represent the Bowmans, and I assume you represent Doug Friesen, the occupant of the house, and I would like for them to be here on September the 1st, and for us to have a chance to visit with them and to better understand why this project is not progressing on a more timely basis. But for me personally, that would be the only, you know, I think, you know, continuance that I would support.
Your arguments raise a lot of concern with me. One is that you got basically a one-man construction company trying to do something that should have been properly done by a crew. And the fact that they want to hire a person to come out there and do a little bit of work every day is not our concern. The other thing is that roofers were widely available at that point in time. I know that for a fact, because we had roofers calling us constantly, even local people that that you would want to use, maybe not necessarily people from out of town. But the local people weren't as busy as everybody believed they were because of all the people that came in from out of town. So there's plenty of roofers available to get this work done. And I'm very concerned about the lack of concern by the owner to comply with the board order. Very concerned about that. And the amount of resources the city has gone to deal with this one issue is reprehensible, I think.
I feel exactly the same way. You've been severely disappointing. Severely. If you're acting as the GC on this project, you ought to be lashed. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then you come down here today and ask for a year. I can't even believe you have the nerve to do that. That's astounding. After what's gone on so far. How would you like to be living next door to the problem you've created and affecting the value of your property?
Well, certainly, I do not know what impact the property next door to Mr. Dell's has had on the value of his home, and I certainly have no ability to determine the quality of his home, the interior of his home, or anything with regards to the value of his home.
I'm not concerned about that particularly either. What we are concerned about is that you finished the project.
Understood that the project is that we are only talking about today is the rear addition. We had asked in the past for the front porch, which was declined and appealed, which unfortunately the appeal was dismissed because of a mistake on my part. But the fact remains, the only thing that's ever been approved is the rear addition. It has not been the front, which they are complaining about. It has not been the porch. It has not been any of that. Since that appeal was dismissed a few weeks ago, there has been a C of A filed with regards to the front of that house.
You frustrated us.
I understand, but unfortunately, it wasn't just the placing of shingles that needed to be done on the top of that house. It's not just placing of the shingles. It was the roof itself that needed to be done.
Would a 30-day continuance with the conditions that I've stated be acceptable to you?
I cannot state that they would. If that's what this court does, then I will make a decision at that particular point in time as to what I need to do.
But you understand our desire to meet with them.
I understand your desire.
I concur. I really doubt, how seriously you and your clients have taken the board orders, and because we've been overly generous, I think, in terms of allocating the time, and I totally agree with Rod on the project has probably been undermanned in terms of your contractor. He may be a good contractor and faithful and work every day, but it may not be enough manpower for a project this size.
That certainly is, if that is your opinion, that's fine, but I will tell you, as far as the quality of the work that has been performed on that house, you can compare the quality of the work that's been recently done on that house to anyone in that neighborhood, any house that you pick, or all of them.
And we're not arguing about the quality of the work. We're arguing the fact that this has gone on and on and on, and you've had deadlines and have missed them, and you're asking for more time. And Mike's observation, a year, I think, is obscene, to come in here and ask for that. If you asked for another 30 days and gave us measurable progress and, we're accountable, I think, that's more palatable to us. But to come in here and just ask for another year, I think, is beyond reasonable.
I'd like to see photos on a weekly basis provided to Catherine of the progress, and especially noted on the photos so we know what's going on, and maybe we'll see you in 30 days, assuming you make the decision to show up, from what I've gathered.
And I don't know of any reason why you can't move your materials and your tools to another work area and go ahead and finish this area and do away with this.
So are we continuing this? Is that what we're doing?
I'm telling you that I would favor a 30-day continuance to the September 1st meeting but it would be conditioned upon the appearance of the Bowmans, Doug Friesen, and your contractor, and that this area be cleaned up, and that the construction be finished, the door, everything that you can get done in 30 days, needs to be done to show us tangible signs of progress. But to use, the fact that it's a work area and you need access to the house for the interior renovation, that's a separate issue. It's not our issue. You can't not finish the back addition just because you need years, to create the interior that you want for your homeowner. So that would be my recommendation for a 30-day continuance, if that's acceptable to you with those conditions.
Well, I cannot state one way or the other if I can get the four persons that you have requested be here on September the 1st. I can only say that I will ask. That's all I can say. They do not live in the state of Oklahoma at this time.
Does Doug Friesen live in the state of Oklahoma?
Well, of course. But the Bowmans have although applied to move back to Oklahoma, that has not occurred.
I would remind the board, too, that we have the authority to compel a witness to appear. So
I think you're asking to compel.
I can only tell you that I will put the request and do my best to get them here. And if I cannot get them here, I will certainly make that application with this board.
How informed are the Bowmans about the progress and what's happening?
Well, they've been here quite a number of times, taking a look at what's been going on. I speak to them possibly once every few weeks.
But you're saying they do not live in Oklahoma City?
No, they do not. They have not. At this point in time, they live in Missouri, and unfortunately, they were planning on moving back to Oklahoma, but are now having to go back to Colorado. Their intent from Colorado was to come to Oklahoma City. It simply didn't work out that way for him.
Well, what if an extension is not granted? What's the
fine, or what? What's the penalty for not?
If the extension is not granted, then where we are is that they have work that needs to be done, and they're subject to code enforcement efforts. So that could be a notice of violation, that could be citations. Right now, as far as the rear addition is concerned, there is a stay in place because of the appeal to this body and the jurisdiction of this body. But once that has been removed, then they're subject to code enforcement. In the event also that you all decided, the chairman decided to compel the attendance, we could prepare that document for signature by the chair to compel the attendance of those witnesses, if that's what you chose.
I'm just not sure what we're trying to accomplish in that area. What we want them to do is to comply with what we're talking about, right? And if not, I think they ought to be penalized for, and that's my opinion, they ought to be penalized for not complying.
I agree. Nothing else has worked so far.
No. Well, please understand, the Bowmans purchased this home and did not get the deed until July of 2009. They have been the owners of this home now for 2 years, and yes, they have had a year plus since this board allowed them to have the certificate of appropriateness with regards to the back of that house. But I can assure you, they
knew the problems when they bought the house. You can't lean on that now. Come on.
That's true. They did know the problems when they bought the house, but at the time there were no violations that were on file at the time that they filed that house, that they bought the house either. There was no notice of any violations when they purchased that home. They purchased it at a sheriff's sale in April of 2009. The warranty deed was not given until July the 9th, July the 20th of that year.
Well, we've had a long enough history on this one already.
The Bowmans did not do that history. The Bowmans purchased it in the summer of 2009.
2 years has been long enough. Been long enough.
Got a Devon Tower in it.
Yeah. A lot of things have happened.
I'd like to make one additional point. Besides just getting the work done, my concern is that some of the work that's been completed doesn't match the drawings that the Board of Adjustment had before them last summer. And I just want to mention that so that you can take that into consideration as well.
Can you tell us what those variations are?
Yes, if you'll look at the report that I handed out.
Second sheet.
On page 2, I've gone elevation by elevation to highlight those items. Most of them have to do with the size of the windows and the location of the windows on the addition itself. There is one discrepancy between the elevations and the site plan. The site plan shows kind of a double-wide stair. The elevation shows a single-wide stair. So that's a discrepancy. I guess we'll go with the elevations because those are more specific. Mostly has to do with windows and their sizes and types.
My desire is simply to see the work get done, and for, it's Lana, I don't know whether your homeowners don't take this issue seriously, or whether, there are communication issues between you and them, or whether you don't take it seriously. My objective is to get this done and to get it done quickly. I, agree. I mean, 2 years is a lot of work can occur on a job that's, properly planned and properly manned. And we want the job finished. And if it takes the appearance of the Bowmans, and it takes the appearance of Doug Friesen, and it takes the appearance of your contractor to, make them aware of how serious we are and how serious this order is to be taken, then I want them here.
All right, Mr. Austin.
So let's run through the litany of things we need.
The motion would compel, one of the conditions of the motion would be that we are going to clean the area, and I don't know how we want to note this exhibit. It's on page 13, the pictures of the back porch, the area that's used for tool and material storage, that area is gone, and that the temporary structure to protect it from the weather is gone, and that the back door be completed. There'd be nothing to, there's no reason not to complete that back door. And Lana, correct me, there's more work to do on the porch, am I correct?
There is no porch at this moment.
Okay. Is there a porch?
The drawings do not indicate a porch on the back.
So what we're waiting for primarily is Catherine, is to clean up this area and to get the back door finished.
And the steps?
And the steps. And to compel the appearance of Bert and Mary Ann Bowman, Doug Friesen, and the contractor.
To be clear, are you requesting, or are you stating as part of that they have to clear the whole backyard of construction materials?
No. I am simply stating that this temporary structure that houses, it's shown on page 13, the bottom photograph, that shows this temporary structure, and that's what it's for, is it not? I mean, it's for storage of tools and material?
That is the purpose of the structure, is to
Is there not
protect
another
the
area
tools.
in the backyard where they can set it up and tarp it and cover it, or is there a garage where they can work?
Well, no, there is not a garage in the backyard.
But there's bound to be something
There's
they
a
could
metal
do.
building back there, but I don't know.
But there's bound to be another place in the backyard where he can store his equipment and his tools, or he can secure his tools. I mean, anybody can walk around the side of the house, and if there are any tools out there, they're accessible to anybody that walks around the side of the house.
That's absolutely true. They always have been, yes, sir. But no, we do not have a garage at this home.
Okay, well then this is just material storage.
That's correct.
Okay, well then it needs to be moved.
In addition to the back door and the steps, I think that it would make a big difference if the area between the new roof and the top of the existing wall were completed with the shingles and the rafter tails and soffit, according to the drawings, that top piece where the roof is, because right now it's just showing the tar paper is exposed, and the roof brackets are missing, so those would be...
And right now, we're talking about our expectation for them in the next 30 days, and
Okay.
I want to be fair to you in terms of what our expectations are. It seems to me that you can certainly rectify this information. I don't know why you can't go ahead and install the back door, finish the steps. So that would be the recommendation for me in terms of moving this process forward, because I want you to take our order seriously. I want your homeowners to understand that. I want this thing to move forward.
I'd like to add the idea of, I want to see weekly photos of the progress that's made during the next 30 days. And I'd like, Catherine, for you to do that if you can, and provide those at the September 1 meeting, assuming we extend.
And I need to know if you will accept service for the contractor, Doug Friesen, Burton Mary Bowman.
Yes.
Okay. I will send the letter from the chairman. We'll assure that it gets sent to you.
Okay.
Got constructive notice now, I think.
I move to approve, or I move to approve for an extension of 30 days. Or no, I think really we're looking for a continuance
To September
of 30
1st.
days to September 1, as conditioned.
Well, I'd rather not, but I'd rather pass it on this way than pass it on by not seconding the motion, I suppose, because it would go anyway, right?
It would.
Right?
You're correct.
So I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Please register your vote.
Thank
You
you.
are continued to September the 1st.
She gets in at 30 minutes if I don't vote, yeah, if I don't approve. No, wait, no.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go home and do all this tonight. If there's no other business before the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Please register your votes.